pushing through the market square. So many mothers crying. News had just come over. We had 5 years.
Musically, it's a very interesting track. Because the track fades in, it leaves the listener thinking that it's an awkward time signature, but it actually isn't. It's a straight 6/8, but just at the point that the track fades in, you're caught on the wrong foot, so you tend to think that maybe it's a more complicated time signature than it really is.
5 Years starts with a drum intro, and that was really just setting the mood for the piece, really, getting that hopelessness into a drum beat that was interesting at the same time as everything's hopeless and we're all going to die, I guess. Sounds very deep, what you can actually do with a drum kit, but you can do it.
It starts simply enough, big strident chords on piano and an instrument called an auto harp, which is an instrument that you strum with a whole load of strings, like a miniature harp. Just simple chords of G, A minor, A and C that go round and round and gradually build the tension.
5 Years is arguably the strongest song on Ziggy. Again, it's not the first song you'd think of if someone asked you to name your favourite track on Ziggy Stardust, but it's probably the strongest song on there.
I had to cram so many things to get everything and then so many people. All the short, fat people. And all the nobody people.
No matter where the arrangement goes, which it does get quite embellished on the way through and more desperate, the drum beat still has that apathetic hopelessness about it all the way through, and it was good actually playing that. It was like being the stable point through all this mayhem.
The tempo also is so slow, it just builds up this incredible sense of tension, because it never really goes anywhere, it never fires off into another gear, it just kind of plods along in this kind of, but it's just, it brings you to boiling point, really, because it's so slow and just plodding, but it's amazing.
Quite a disturbing lyric. The idea about a person sitting in an ice cream parlour oblivious to what's going to be going on.
Things are not going to improve on the planet, and although you can say the 5-year plan didn't quite work, I think it's a way a lot of people still look at life, in terms of we haven't got very long and we have to get our act together and do something, and it's something from the outside that has to influence and inspire us.
We've got 5 years stuck on my eyes. 5 years, what a surprise. We've got 5 years, my brain hurts a lot. 5 years, that's all we got. We got 5 years stuck on my eyes.
The way the track builds is the playing gets more intense, the vocal gets more frantic as the song goes along. The wonderful string arrangement, once again, of Mick Ronson, with all these trademark semi-quaver cello runs that he's so famous for.
What Bowie did in that song, it was an epic for a start, and the way that he built it was to keep you on tenterhooks. So when you actually felt like you were into the song, he'd take you in a different direction.
It's an interesting song, because it's sort of, a lot of the rest of Ziggy Stardust is very sort of fast and furious and in your face, and 5 Years is just kind of Bowie on Valiant, but amazing. What an incredible song.
It's a magic build from start to finish, and then a release again, and I think this is probably my second favourite Bowie track of all time.
The only one thing that I always remember, I went in the studio one night, we were going out for dinner, and they were finishing off a mix of Moon Age Daydream. And Mick had put his guitar solo on the end, which I hadn't heard. And I walked in and they played it to us on the big speakers, quite loud. And when it finished, I knew then that was a great album, from that one track.
For me personally, Ziggy doesn't stand up as an album in the same way as Hunky Dory. as a coherent, cohesive piece of work end to end. I don't think it's as good an album. It doesn't sound as good all these years later. But the title track is an amazing slice of sexy rock and roll.
I think Ziggy Stardust, the track, is really sets the mood for that whole album.
I don't know if Ziggy Stardust is the archetypal Bowie sound. It's certainly the archetypal Mick Ronson riff. What an incredible riff.
The glam thing had started to happen with Matt Boland and stuff. And the music industry had gone through the blues stage, you know, the Beatles, the Stones, and it went into this blues stage with bands like Cream and that coming through, and the rock, and you've got the Deep Purple, and you've got all that, which was okay for the heavier people. But for the younger kids and that, there really wasn't anything except poppy records. There wasn't anything you could like. There was no hero, superhero for them. You know what I mean? There hadn't been any for a while. And when Bowie came along with Ziggy, who was a superhero, really, they latched onto that superhero.
It's the perfect ad for the album, that song. It tells you what's on the record and, hey, come and get it. It's, you know, it really just tells you what you need to know about David Bowie.
When they came to see Ziggy Stardust, not David Bowie, that's what they came to see. And that was their hero, you know, and that's how it works. It's a cartoon character. And that's what he was on stage, you know, and it worked perfectly, the way it was put together.
David was good at that lyrically. Just when you thought you knew what it was about, he'd change direction on you and put a little knife in the back or a little twist to it. And I think musically we mirrored that really musically. It was like, okay, you think it's going there, but then, whoa, where did that come from? And the trick and the art was making it seem like it belonged, even though it shouldn't really be there. I think that was a big part of the sound, and Ziggy was one like that, really.
It's really hard to say why was that a great album. It just happened. We just went in, we recorded it, and everybody loved it. Because it's not down to us. It's down to the people that buy it, it's down to the people in radio stations, it's down to the press. When they got this album, they just went wild about it.
People couldn't sit down, basically. You knew when that was on, they would be up on the feet, just on the rhythm of it and the whole atmosphere of it.
Suffragette City, what a great simple track. It's like the best of the Stones and T-Rex all rolled into one. Another open tribute to Velvet Underground, who obviously influenced Bowie a lot.
And it's another incredible intro. It's this kind of sexy riff from Ronson. You just kind of, woof, makes you want to go out and party with some girls, you know.
Suffragette City just kicks butt. It's like it starts and it doesn't let up, and you're in a rock and roll city, you're in a rock and roll lifestyle, and that was the intention of it.
It's a swaggering rock track in the key of A, the big open A chords, which are a rock guitarist's delight.
That's another amazing lyric. Hey man, or leave me alone. Hey man, or Henry, get off the phone. How cool is that? Who's Henry? I don't know.